Up as many as 16. Did go 5 minutes without scoring. Got a little hairy there. Princeton got within as close as 7, but they got control of the ball game in the last 3 or 4 minutes there and go on and win this ball game by 11, 86-75. You can see Kalkbrenner there, 22 points, 9 of 12 from the floor. The leader in field goal percentage in Division I at 70%. 5 for 5 in the second half there. Matt Norlander shot 75%. Creighton moving on to the Elite Eight. Let's go ahead and bring in CBS Sports basketball analyst Tim Doyle over there, and of course Matt Norlander, CBS Sports senior writer. He's right there. I'm right here. We're on your TV screen here. Big win here for Creighton. They're moving on, but let's start with the Cinderella. The run ends for the Princeton Tigers in our great state of New Jersey, the Garden State. They're out of the tournament here. You look at it, Langborg and Bowman there, 26 and 24, so they combine for 50 for the two seniors there, but they come up a little short. But they do get to their first Sweet 16. What are your thoughts here on Princeton and the run? We'll start with you, Matt.
Listen, Princeton gave us one of the more memorable Cinderella runs we've seen ever, frankly, given how dominant the Tigers looked in the first round and the second round against Arizona and Missouri. Creighton's just a different team, but Mitch Henderson has done a wonderful job, and he has that program set up to thrive moving forward. This one was just it was a little bit tough given how well Creighton played and how well they shot. And so St. Peter stands alone. It is now still the only 15 seed, having done it just a year ago, to ever have made an Elite Eight. But the number of 15s that have won 2 games is still a low number overall. And I thought the Tigers put up a really admirable fight. Creighton just pulled away in the second half.
And that's a good description right there. They did show some fight today, too.
Yeah, I think get used to this. I think get used to seeing 1s and 2s losing early and 14s and 15s advancing. I don't think it's going to be 16s are going to beat 1 every single year, but you see the parity, and especially at the mid-major level, like a team like Princeton, when you have those older guys, experienced guys, continuity, guys understand each other, they got in a little bit of a rhythm. As you see 15 seeds to make the Sweet 16, Dunk City. Yeah, that was, a shocker, but
yes.
A team we still talk about to this day. Crazy to think it was 10 years ago. Offensively, Princeton did what it had to do. Shot nearly 50%. Shot over 40% from 3. Problem with Princeton was
couldn't stop a nosebleed.
Stop Creighton. How about this? Creighton shot 71% from 2-point range. That's not a good defense. So,
no.
and the culprit of that was Ryan Kalkbrenner. He just did whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted.
Yeah, and actually their percentage went down. They shot 62% in the first half, finished only at 58%, man.
And as we said in the lead up to this game on HQ, Kalkbrenner's just a different big from the ones that they had faced in the first weekend of the tournament there. He was outstanding between Kalkbrenner and Baylor Shireman. That's 43 points overall. And Creighton kind of does it in every kind of way. Shireman was one of the most notable portal edition ads last offseason. He's been the reason why Creighton's been able to get to this point. And on the Blue Jays, by the way, this was a team ranked in the preseason top 10 going back to the fall. Now, it dealt with mono, kind of went through the team, and Kalkbrenner not being able to play. So they had a weird 6-game losing streak. But now we look up in the Elite Eight. They actually matched the preseason hype. And when you look at what this team offers overall, obviously a viable chance to break through and make the Final Four. We'll see if they're able to do that. But they even getting to this point, and having such balance. Like Trey Alexander, we're going to see him in an NBA uniform one day. He had 19 points. Arthur Kaluma woke up in the second half. Offensively, it was so impressive. And a Creighton team that is capable of doing this. It was always better than its seed. It should have been
I was about to ask you about that. Were they underseeded there?
It was a fair seed because of the losses, but it was always better than its seeding. And so here, it gets a good matchup, relatively speaking, with Princeton in the Sweet 16. And now it will have a very different opponent. San Diego State presents a lot of different challenges. That's why I love the tournament, though, Tim, because you can play one team on one day, you get a 2-day turnaround, and if you move on, it could be stylistically so different, and that's exactly what's awaiting the Blue Jays with the Aztecs on Sunday.
Yeah, you look at that 10th seed there, finished second behind Marquette in their conference there. I want to get back to Princeton. You saw the viral video of those guys doing calculus, studying, doing homework during the NCAA tournament. Just your thoughts here. You got some close ties to Princeton.
Yeah, I think Princeton's going to be in an interesting situation because I think the alum, distinguished as they are, all enjoyed this. There was a Princeton crowd there. And if you want to go to Princeton, they do not give athletic scholarships. So it's fun to win, but if you want to win, you got to get guys that can obviously play. And those guys don't have the tuition money 9 times out of 10, or maybe 9.9 out of 10. Tuition at Princeton, $100,000 if you come from a home that could actually pay it. So start doing the math on that over the course of 3 years.
I went to Middle Tennessee, in-state tuition, folks. It was like $1,500, $2,000 back on the day when I went.
But it's going to be interesting to see if Princeton instills some sort of NIL. You know, this is going to be the new college basketball.
We'll see.
And I'll see if
at the Ivy level.
I don't know about that.
Wait, the alums like winning. Everyone likes winning. So if you want to win,
They've got the bank.
It's going to be interesting to see if they say like, we're too good for that. This was an outstanding year. They found Tosan Aroma via email. He was player of the year. He led the conference in assists from a center position. This was a fun team to follow. I think a team that ran into basically a better version of them. And I thought Ryan Kalkbrenner, watching him eyeball test today, made himself a lot of money. Because when I was watching him, movement, Tosan's a really tough matchup. He reminded me a lot of Walter Kessler. And if you're following Walter right now at the next level, he's having a breakthrough year for the Jazz. As that center position is a center that's kind of evolving, not from what we grew up with. We threw it down low and the guy dribbled and jump hooks. Like, you want to be athletic, you want to have finishes at the rim, you want to block shots, rebound. He checked a lot of those boxes. How about this Creighton, Larry, could bring their whole team back next year?
Oh, wow.
So be interested to see who makes moves, but I thought Kalkbrenner proved a lot tonight to NBA scouts.
But you know how it is in the NBA. You got to be able to, can you shoot? You know, that's what they want from the bigs right there. So we'll see about Kalkbrenner. Back to what you were saying, next matchup for Creighton, San Diego State. How does that sort of, manifest, and how does that matchup look for the Blue Jays?
You know what? It's one that I think is advantageous for Creighton. Not that it's going to be easy. It won't. But I think Creighton's going to have a good chance. And the reason why is Creighton, it plays both ends of the floor. It really does. Right now, as we react to this in real time, I'm thinking the defensive capacity for Creighton matches up. It's top 15 in defensive efficiency at KenPom, close to top 20 in offensive efficiency overall. The Blue Jays have enough. I mean, Kalkbrenner, Big East Defensive Player of the Year, one of the best defenders in the entire country. Trey Alexander and Kaluma are both capable as well of defending well. And then Ryan Nembhard, although he's not an elite defender, certainly good on that end. Creighton, as we head into this, just keep this in mind with this matchup. San Diego State will look to get Matt Bradley going, and it'll be interesting to see. His matchup with how Creighton will defend him will be intriguing, but I don't know how San Diego State is going to be able to say we want to keep this game in the low 60s, and that's how we want it. Because I'll tell you what, Creighton can win a game if it's a race to 85. It can win a game up and down that winds up 73-70, and it can win a game 62-58. So this is not going to be out of its comfort zone. This is not the Creighton of yesteryear. Sometimes when McDermott had these elite offensive teams and they were just offense, and then defense was kind of the fourth option. That's not this team. They're really, really balanced, not super deep. We'll see how physical that game gets and if foul trouble emerges. But I actually think Creighton's set up well to thrive in this.
Tim, your thoughts on this? You got this senior-laden team with San Diego State, 4 seniors that start. Get you in the phone booth. Can they exchange punches in a phone booth?
I think this is a favorable matchup for San Diego State, just because they have a guy like Mensah, who's Mountain West Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, rather, last 2 years. Ledee, a rope. They could throw a lot of guys at Kalkbrenner, and then from a guard position, they could just rotate guards in and out. I mean, they just beat Alabama, who I think we all agreed was the most talented team in the tournament. And they took their best punch, and they were the better team over the course of 40 minutes. Can Creighton beat them? Absolutely. They're elite offensively. Their starting 5 plays like old men, which is a compliment. They move the ball. They can shoot from the perimeter. Contrasting styles. Creighton's an elite offensive team. It shot 71% from 2-point range in a Sweet 16 game. That's amazing. But San Diego State locks up on a short turnaround. Favor the offense, favor the defense.
I would say the defense, but Creighton is good enough defensively. And you say Mensah. The Mensah Kalkbrenner might be the biggest head-to-head, although Trammell versus Nembhard is also pretty fascinating. It's a 5 versus 6. That's a 5 versus 6 in a regional final. Extremely rare, obviously. And although those teams are not, major headlining programs, Creighton's been good for a long time. San Diego State's been the best team in the Mountain West, and likely headed toward the Pac-12 at some point this offseason. This is actually a pretty fascinating basketball matchup. I'll tell you this: both coaches are coaching for their first Final Four appearance, Brian Dutcher and Greg McDermott. They're both good enough to get there. The teams themselves, like the rosters, they are good enough to do this. San Diego State and Creighton have been ranked teams for the majority of the season. No, it wasn't the projected regional final matchup, but we get it nonetheless, and we will have, yet again, we are guaranteed of at least this. Since 2013, there's been a a 6 or worse get to the Final Four. Now, with San Diego State there, it's at least a 5 or worse. The trend continues. If Creighton gets there, that run will continue a decade on.
Both teams in the Elite Eight for the first time in school history. Somebody is going to the Final Four in Houston between San Diego State and Creighton. All right, guys, stick around. We'll come back to you guys.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.